3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Dave of the Dog Trainer podcast, episode 208.
Hello.
All right, guys, we're going to get right into today's episode. We've done episodes on this before, but I have had a massive uptick in potential clients reaching out to me over this issue, so we're going to do another episode on it.
Oh.
Dogs and babies. Guys, it's fucking ridiculous how many calls I've gotten from people saying their dog bit their child or bit somebody else's child recently.
Really?
Like, it's kind of insane how many we've had recently.
Wow.
Luckily, the majority of them are not major bites. Mm-hmm. But I will say 95% of them, when they call me and I get details on what happened, it was so unquestionably a preventable bite. And we need to take a bit of responsibility as dog owners and learn how to do a bit better.
Yeah.
And there are some topics in the dog world where I feel like there's like controversy and like people don't agree on how we should handle this stuff. And, you know, like everybody's going to give you different opinions. But I will say, I genuinely believe that the dogs and babies thing is kind of one of those topics that, like, across the board, the vast majority of things that we say that you should or shouldn't do, most trainers, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, are going to agree on it. Yeah. So what I thought would be kind of fun, I pulled up, there's a very, very thorough article that the ASPCA wrote, which, if you guys don't know about the ASPCA, they're pretty force-free. Right, it's a fairly force-free organization.
Very much so.
And they made a very thorough article on dogs and babies. So what we're going to do is we're going to read what the ASPCA has to say about it, and we're going to see how much of it we agree with and how much of it we don't agree with.
Okay.
And we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, preventable bites. I mean, like, just some of the things that I've been told, I really genuinely try not to, like, judge people too harshly over stuff, like, prior to signing up for training, because, like, they're reaching out for help. I appreciate that you're reaching out for help, but this is one of those things, like, as a dog trainer, when you have clients call you about this, before you sign them up for training, you've got to do some expectation setting of, like, yo, I need to make sure you understand, as the dog owner, right, that this is not the dog's fault. Yeah. There are things that we probably can do to help increase the dog's threshold to things and make them more tolerant of some of this stuff in the future. But most of these circumstances, you've got to understand this is either your fault, or if it's an older child, old enough to be able to comprehend on things, obviously, it's the child's fault, right? Yeah. Which still falls back on it's your fault.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? But like, I need to make sure people know that this isn't like we're going to magically transform your dog to just tolerate whatever the fuck your kids do to them in the future, right? There is a degree of we're going to hold the dog to a little higher standard, but we are going to ensure we hold the children to a higher standard too. And I need to make sure with 100% certainty that the people understand that.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want to run into a situation of is they don't understand that, and one of two things happens. One, the more important of the two, is they don't change the things they need to do, and then kid gets bit again.
Yeah.
Right? Which, to clarify, one thing, before I sign anybody up for training in these situations, is I help them navigate how to address this. First thing I look at is the severity of the bite. Like, if it's a serious bite, right? Not that all bites aren't serious, obviously, but if it's like actually there's damage, you know, right? It's not just like a little nip or a little snap or something like that. Generally speaking, it's not worth putting your kid at risk of it potentially happening again, and we will recommend getting rid of the dog, obviously. If it's not a serious bite, obviously, we just want to make sure it doesn't happen again, right? So I gotta feel very certain that you're going to put in the work and you're going to understand and take responsibility for the bite happening before I sign you up, to make sure the child is going to be safe, obviously. And then on the contrary, I need to make sure I expectations set so that when the dog comes back, if something were to happen again, even something minor, they don't say, "Oh, you didn't fix my fucking dog." Because obviously, if you don't expectation set and make sure they understand, hey, this is you. This is not the dog needs to just tolerate shit more, right? You will run into that boat as well, where the clients are yelling at you over shit.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So without further ado, let's get into this article, because it's somewhat long. So, okay, dogs and babies. This is broken into like a million sections, right? So we're going to just start from the top here. Preparing your dog for a new baby. So when you bring a new baby home, your dog will face an overwhelming number of novel sights, sounds, and smells. She may find some of them upsetting, especially if she didn't have opportunities to spend time with children as a puppy. You'll drastically alter your daily routine, so your dog's schedule will change too. And out of necessity, she'll get less of your time and attention. It may be a difficult time for her, especially if she's been the only child for a while. To make things go as smoothly as possible for everyone, it's important to take some time to prepare your dog for the arrival of your new addition. In the months before the baby comes, you'll focus on 2 things. 1, teaching your dog the skills she'll need to interact safely with her new family member. And 2, helping your dog adjust to the many new experiences and changes ahead. So right off the rip, couldn't agree more. We always tell everybody the sights, sounds, smells, like everything changes from that standpoint of your dog experiencing new things, even if you have the most social dog in the world, right? And 2, the routines are the biggest change, right? Like your whole life, unless you've had a kid before and kind of been through this, right? Your whole life is going to flip upside down. And if you have one of those dogs who's been the only dog that is just glued to your side at all times, constantly looking for attention, this and that, if you don't prepare the dog for like when baby becomes top priority, you're going to run into big time issues.
Yeah.
So prep for all that now. Figure out what your routines are going to be ahead of time and start acting as if the baby is already there to get your dog prepped for it. And then teaching the skills they'll need to safely interact. That's just making sure the dog has good training on them so you can guide their behavior.
Yeah. What's like a quick couple good examples of how you would kind
Routines
of prepare?
changing?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Good question. So thing number 1 I always say is like furniture privileges. Right? Most of you need to have a zone where you're feeding the baby, playing with the baby, changing the baby, things like that. And if those areas are places where your dog is used to hanging out all the time or being constantly in your space, nix that now, right? I always recommend kick the dog off the furniture temporarily because you're going to be hanging out on the couch with the baby a lot and you don't want the dog in that close of intimate contact with them right off the rip, right? That's a big one. Like meal times, like where you're feeding the baby, obviously, and food's going to be falling on the ground and stuff like that, making sure you could kind of, keep the dog in a separate place. Look at where your crate is. Look at where your dog's bed is. Look at where you feed the dog and make sure those aren't going to be conflicting areas, right? But most of the routine changes have to do with you are going to seriously be pulling back on the amount of attention you're giving the dog.
True.
Right? So start prepping the dog for that now, right? Get used to like having more like some people subconsciously never ignore their dog for more than like 2 minutes at a time. You know what I mean? Like it's true, right?
Yeah.
Like every time the dog comes over, they're petting them, they're interacting with them. They're not aware that the dog's glued to their hip at all times. So like set a timer on your phone for a freaking hour. And for that hour, pretend like the dog isn't even there.
Right.
And see what happens. You may find that dog gets really fucking annoying and pushy really fucking quick.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, you got to get your dog used to that because when you're feeding the baby or just holding the baby or, all that kind of stuff, you can't give the dog attention then.
That's right.
Right?
That's
so
right.
Get them used to that now.
Okay.
All right, moving on here. So making a plan. Your dog will benefit from any training you could accomplish before your baby's birth. True, right? So teaching your dog some basic obedience skills will help you manage her behavior when the baby comes. Please see the section below, Teaching Your Dog Important New Skills for Specific Training Guidelines. Consider enrolling in a group class to get a head start. Yes, teach your dog this. Like if your dog knows a good bed stay, your dog knows a good down stay, those are the 2 important ones when baby comes into the house. Because you need to be able to say, excuse me, hey, go chill over there for a little bit.
Yep.
Right? And if you could do that while you're doing all these other things that I'm discussing, your life will be 100 times easier. But if you're constantly can't get the dog to stay in one spot, can't get the dog to be away from you for more prolonged periods, unless you're needing to like throw them in a room or a crate or something, you're starting off on the wrong foot. But don't sign up for a group class. Do actual training classes.
Yeah,
Group classes aren't actual training.
True.
All right. 4 months before the baby arrives, gradually introduce your dog to the new experiences, sights, sounds, and smells she'll encounter. When you bring your baby home and associate these new things with rewards, this will help your dog learn to love life with the baby. Listen, yes, gradually introduce your dog to these new experiences, right? If you could go to the fucking, the local playground and just hang out outside of the playground and get your dog used to being around kids. Don't let them come up and pet them and stuff, but get them used to experiencing the sights, sounds, and smells, right? That doesn't mean interaction. That just means sight, sounds, and smell. Now, don't get crazy with associating these things with rewards. Associate these things with neutral experiences. So when you have the baby come home, I don't want them super wanting to get near these things because they're going to get a reward. I want them not paying any mind to it. So just get them exposed to it. 1 to 2 months before the baby arrives, anticipate the changes you'll make to the dog's daily routines and start making those changes. We discussed that already. Phenomenal idea. Make sure you do that. All right, teaching your dog important new skills. Having good verbal control over your dog can really help when it comes to juggling her needs and the baby's care. The following skills are particularly important. Basic manners, sitting down, stay, wait at doors, and settle. These skills can help your dog learn to control her impulses, and they'll prove useful in many situations. For example, you could teach your dog to lie down and stay whenever you sit in your nursing chair. Bingo. Agree. Leave it and drop it. These two behaviors can help you teach your dog to leave the baby's things alone. That's a great one as well. Now, personally, we just correct for the dog picking up things that aren't theirs. But regardless, same concept, totally agree.
Yep.
Greet people politely. A jumping dog can be annoying at best and dangerous at worst when you're holding the baby. Bingo.
Yeah.
Right? You can't have a dog jumping on you, right? Or yanking your arm or whatever. Like if you have a baby around, you just cannot have it. So get that under control now, right now, right? Relax in the crate. If you crate train your dog, you'll know when she's safe, when you can't supervise her, and she'll have a cozy place on her own to relax when things get hectic. Bingo. You need to be able to have the dog just chill the fuck out somewhere else sometimes when you can't enforce the training and can't supervise them properly when they're out. So put them in their crate and make sure they're calm in the crate.
Yeah, right on track right now.
And then they say come when called. Obviously, make sure your dog comes when called. That one actually is less relevant to the situation. Aside from, because they didn't give any examples of where to use that one. I'll give you one example, right?
Okay.
You got to feed the baby in 5 minutes, and the dog's fucking around outside, and you can't get the dog to come in.
Yeah.
That's going to be a problem. So make sure your dog comes when called for that situation.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so they got some special skills.
Ooh, special skills.
All right. Hand targeting. If your dog is nervous or timid, teaching her to target your hand with her nose will give her something to do when she's around the baby, which might make her feel more comfortable and confident. After your dog learns how to target your hand, you could even touch her gently or teach her to gently touch the baby with her nose. Okay, do not do that one, guys. Don't do that one.
Yeah.
If your dog is nervous, do not make them go touch the baby with their nose. Yes, let me take the dog's mouth and put it as close to the baby as I can.
Yeah.
Guys, don't do that one. And the hand targeting thing too, if your dog is nervous or timid, forcing them to be close to you and the baby by coming and touching your hand, don't do that.
Not good.
We want to be teaching the dog when you're nervous, do something else.
Go
do
away.
something else,
Yep.
right? Next command, please go away. I will give you my version of the please go away that I use with my dogs. It's called the fuck off command. I swear to God, I should take a video of it one day. All of my dogs know when I say fuck off to go somewhere else.
You should take a video
To go
of that.
somewhere else, right? So they elaborate on this. Teaching your dog to go away when you ask will enable you to control her movements and interactions with your baby. For example, you could use this cue to tell your dog to move away from the baby if he's crawling towards her and she seems uncomfortable. Many dogs don't realize that moving away is an option. If she learns that she can simply walk away from the baby when he makes her nervous, she'll never feel trapped in a stressful situation, and she won't be forced to express her anxiety by growling or snapping. Here's how to teach your dog this invaluable skill. Show her a treat, say go away, and toss the treat 4 or 5 feet away from you. Repeat this sequence many times. The next step is to refrain from tossing the treat until your dog starts to move away. Say go away, and move your arm as though you're tossing the treat. When your dog moves in the direction of the gesture, even if she only takes 1 step, say yes, then immediately toss the treat 4 or 5 feet away, in the direction your dog started to move. After more repetitions, try waiting until your dog takes several steps away before you say yes and toss the treat. Play fetch. Teaching your dog to play fetch with a toy can prepare her for safe, fun interactions with your child. Okay, listen, guys. The go away command, if you want to use it, you can. Obviously, we want the dog to know that they can move away if they're stressed out.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it. I don't have a problem with that. A lot of trainers will use the out command, right? There's different ways of training it. You could train it with an e-collar, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, teach it. It's fine, right? But the key here is, they said, many dogs don't realize that moving away is an option. If she learns that she could simply walk away from the baby when he makes her nervous, she'll never feel trapped or in a stressful situation. For example, you could use this cue to tell your dog to move away from the baby if he's crawling towards her and she seems uncomfortable. The key here is being mindful enough to see when your dog starts getting uncomfortable before it turns into a problem.
Yeah.
And this is the problem that every one of these people that's called me is making the mistake of, is that they'll tell me that my dog has, there's one in particular that said this, and it was like, again, trying not to judge, but like, they're like, yeah, my dog has, you know, when they've gotten stressed, you know, they tolerate the baby really well. The baby does all this stuff to them and they just tolerate it. And if they get stressed out, they get up and walk away. It's like, okay, but you're seeing your baby make your dog stressed out and you're not doing anything about it. You're waiting because you just think you have such a great dog that it's going to tolerate it forever and just walk away. You know what I mean? Like, what if they don't have the ability to walk away because they're never seeing you step in and advocate at that point? So that's the key. However you do it, you could, when you see the dog start getting stressed out, you could go over and grab the dog by the collar and just move them away yourself. You don't even need to have a command for it. But the key is be mindful when your baby is stressing your dog out. Obviously, the baby isn't intending to stress the dog out, but they're stressing the fucking dog out. So step in and do something about it. That's the key here. That's the takeaway from that one. Okay.
You know, it's funny that they put that right after they said, put the baby in front of the dog's nose.
Yeah, don't do that. Well, they didn't say that. We'll be clear. They said, teach the dog to go touch the baby. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, moving on. Preparing your dog for lifestyle changes.
Okay.
Many dogs experience anxiety when their lifestyles are drastically altered. Although things will change with the arrival of your new baby, you can minimize your dog's stress by gradually getting her used to these changes in advance. So I'm curious which ones they have. All right, here we go. Plan and practice changes to your daily routine. If you could predict how your schedule will change when the baby comes, begin a slow transition towards that new schedule now. If you plan to nap in the afternoon when the baby is sleeping, start taking occasional afternoon naps. If you plan to walk your dog at different times of day, gradually switch to the new routine. Life with a baby can be hectic and sometimes unpredictable. It may help to prepare your dog for a less consistent daily schedule. Try varying the time you feed your dog. For example, if she gets breakfast every morning at 7 o'clock sharp, start feeding her at random times between 6 and 10. Alternatively, you could plan to stick to your dog's regular schedule with the help of an automatic feeder. These products have built-in timers, so you can set them to deliver food at set times each day, whether you're around or not. So this is a good one. The feeding the dog at random times. Right? This is something we have not on purpose always done with our dogs. I always tell people, like, they eat breakfast between probably 7 and 11 every day. And they eat dinner between like 5:30 and 9 every day, I would say. Right? And it's just based on our schedules. My wife's a nurse. I work long hours. You know what I mean? So it's like where there's never a consistent time we're home. So we don't run into this issue of like, you know, there are some dogs that are like clockwork. 5 o'clock comes around and they come over and they get really, really demanding because they know food is coming soon. So get them used to the change and make sure you work through problems like that. Walking them at different times. Having, just in general, they said, may help to prepare your dog for a less consistent daily schedule. Vary things, you know, change things up. That is definitely important. Consider hiring a dog walker to take over the responsibility of exercising your dog, at least for the first few weeks after the baby arrives. Interview dog walkers and choose one now. To help your dog get used to leaving your house without you, you could have the dog walker start taking her on occasional walks. If your dog enjoys playing with other dogs, consider taking her to a doggy daycare once or twice a week after the baby comes. Investigate your options now and have your dog spend some time at the daycare so that she gets used to this new activity. Alternatively, you could plan to take your dog to friends or family members' houses once or twice a week for some quality time with people she knows and likes. Begin these visits now. If you're really ambitious, you could practice getting up in the middle of the night with your dog, teaching her to settle quietly in an area where you plan to nurse the baby. Okay. First off, the exercise one, a lot of people do say, like, when I get the baby, I'm just not going to have time to, like, do a lot of these things with my dog. That is a good idea. Again, the daycare, be careful with that. But, you know, if you have a family member that's really great with your dog and you want to, you know, do daycare with them once a week, you know? Or dog walker or something. Great idea, obviously. And then I like this practice getting up in the middle of the night with your dog, teach him to settle quietly in an area where you plan to nurse the baby because you're going to be getting up in the middle of the night sometimes. And if you have one of those dogs that if you get up in the middle of the night, they're going to be like, oh, what's going on? Right? You need to make sure you can keep them calm.
True.
That's a great one as well.
It is very good.
All right. Minimize changes in attention. Resist the temptation to lavish your dog with extra attention in the weeks before the baby's due date. This will only set her up for a bigger letdown when the baby comes and takes center stage. Instead, start scheduling short play and cuddle sessions with your dog and gradually give her less and less attention at other times of day. Schedule your sessions randomly so that your dog doesn't come to expect attention in a particular time. That's one of the most important ones as far as the changes in routine.
Yeah.
This is another one I go over with people a lot. Make new rules now. When the baby comes home, some of your dog's privileges will likely change. It will be easiest for her to accept these changes if you institute new rules in advance. If you don't want your dog on the furniture or the bed after the baby arrives, introduce that restriction now. If you don't want your dog to jump up on you when you're carrying your new baby or holding him in your lap, start teaching her to keep all 4 paws on the floor. If your dog is used to sleeping in bed with you and you want that to change with the baby's arrival, provide a comfortable dog bed that she could use instead. If necessary, you could place the new bed in an exercise pen or a crate to prevent her from jumping up onto your bed during the night. Likewise, if you want your dog to sleep in another room when the baby arrives, establish the habit well in advance. Even if your dog adores children, she might accidentally scratch your baby's delicate skin while riding beside him in the car. Consider installing a car barrier, purchasing a dog seatbelt, or teaching your dog to relax in a crate when she's in the car. You could find barriers, special seatbelts, and crates at most pet stores. These are all actually really, really good ones. And this one in particular, the car one, I never really thought a whole lot about. Yeah, if you got your baby in a freaking carrier in the back, you need to have somewhere where your dog's going to be. And if your dog's car anxious and jumping around all over the place in the car, you can't have that.
No, got to work on that.
That's
one.
a good one.
Yeah.
Having a vocal dog in your home can be a great deterrent to burglars, and many people appreciate their dog's watchdog skills. However, when your baby's trying to take a nap, your dog's barking at falling leaves, neighbors, and scurrying squirrels outside will get old very quickly.
Yeah.
Now is the time to start teaching her that she doesn't have to be quite so vigilant. To learn how to discourage her from continually sounding the alarm, please see our article on barking. That's a big one, guys.
Yeah.
The barking. Right? Now, I will say there is something to be said about, like, we do have some clients that have noisy-ass dogs. And when they bring babies home, those dogs are still fucking noisy for whatever reason, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, the teaching the baby to, like, learn to ignore some of that kind of stuff is kind of, you know, could be a beneficial skill, too.
Yeah, that's
Just
true.
sleep through it.
Just sleep through it.
Instead of everybody on fucking tiptoes right around it.
Right.
If the baby's room will be off limits. Some people decide that they'd like their dog to wait outside of the baby's room unless invited in. The easiest way to accomplish this is to teach your dog to sit, stay, or downstay by the door. When you're not training, keep the baby's door closed or install a tall baby gate in the doorway so that your dog gets used to restricted access. We always recommend this is keeping them out of the nursery. There's just no reason for them to be in it. It's the baby space.
Yeah.
We want the dog to have their own space where they can go, where we say nobody messes with them when they're there, and the baby to have a space for the same thing.
Makes sense.
If the baby's room won't be off limits, put a dog bed in an out-of-the-way spot in the baby's room and keep a container of dog treats in the room. Every once in a while, leave a few treats on the dog's bed when she's not looking. Later on, she can discover them on her own. She'll learn to love her new spot in the baby's room. You could train your dog to settle on her new bed in the baby's room when you need her to stay out of the way. If you plan to spend time in the baby's room when you're nursing or rocking him to sleep, teach your dog to spend quiet time in the room with you. While you sit in a chair, your dog can relax on her bed. Try giving her a new chew bone or a food puzzle toy to work on during your quiet time sessions. After the baby comes, when you rock or feed him, you could occasionally toss a treat to your dog while she's laying on her bed. This practice will make her happy to be around the baby and reward her for staying in her spot during quiet time. If you don't have time to teach your dog to stay on cue, you can use a leash or tether attached to a heavy piece of furniture to remind her to stay on the bed. If you prefer, you could screw an eye hook into a baseboard and secure a tether. This practice will allow the dog to enjoy time with you and the baby, but prevent her from jumping up and pawing at you. To some dogs, a crib might seem like the perfect place for a cozy nap. If your dog is agile enough to climb into your baby's crib, it is important to let her know that she'll never be allowed to curl up there. If she approaches the crib and spends more than a few seconds investigating it, simply call her to come to you. If she complies, praise her warmly. If your dog tries to jump up to put her paws on the crib, immediately clap your hands and say, "Off," in a firm tone of voice. Oh, a correction.
Yeah.
Oh, buddy. Let's go. Let's go. Then take her by the collar and lead her away from the crib. If she thinks she might try to sneak into the crib when you're not supervising her, keep the baby's door closed or use the baby gate to block the doorway. Again, all of this kind of stuff boils down to however you want to teach it. I don't give a fuck. As long as it works, teach it how you want to teach it. But the key here is structure, right? You are implementing routines for what you do when you're doing certain things.
Yes.
The more predictable you can make things for your dog, the more predictable you can make things for you, the better all of this stuff will go. Continuing on, preparing your dog for new experiences. For dogs who haven't spent much time with them, babies can seem pretty bizarre and even frightening creatures. They make loud screeching noises, they smell different, they definitely don't look like grown-up humans, and they move in strange ways. It's a good idea to introduce your dog to as many baby-like sights, sounds, smells, and movements as possible so that some aspects of the baby are familiar when you bring them home. So now, introducing your dog to baby sights, sounds, and smells. Unwrap new baby supplies such as toys, car seats, high chairs, and swings from their packaging and introduce them to your dog 1 or 2 at a time. You could also place smaller items on the floor when you're around to supervise your dog. Let her investigate them, but if she picks them up, immediately redirect her attention to one of her own toys or chew boins. Boins.
Chew boins.
Keep in mind that it might be difficult for your dog to tell the difference between her things and the baby's. That's why it's important to help her start learning now. Caveat, just correct the dog for grabbing them. Mm-hmm. Do your loud clap.
Yeah. Oh.
Start to use a little bit of the baby's lotions, shampoos, and creams and powders on yourself so that the dog associates them with a familiar person. If you can, borrow clothes and blankets that smell like a baby to get the dog used to that smell too. If your dog is sensitive to strange noises, she might become agitated or frightened when she hears the baby cry. To help her get used to that sound in advance, purchase a recording of realistic baby noises and play it frequently. Whenever you play the recording, give your dog plenty of attention, treats, and anything else she likes. After 5 to 10 minutes, turn the record off and ignore your dog for a half hour or so. Do this several times a day. Instead of becoming afraid or upset when she hears a baby sound, she'll look forward to them because they predict attention and treats for her. If you try this procedure and find that your dog seems really afraid of the recorded baby noises, you may need to start with volume very low. When she gets used to the sounds at a low level, you can gradually increase the volume. Remember to give her plenty of delicious treats like bits of cheese, hot dog, or chicken every time she hears the baby sounds. Now, I recommend doing all of these things I described, except do this several times a day. Instead of becoming afraid or upset when she hears baby sounds, she'll learn to look forward to them because they predict attention and treats for her. That is not what you want to train. When the baby is making sounds, you need to go attend to the baby, not give the dog attention and treats.
Right.
Right? So, again, neutrality, not positive associations. Just get them used to it being not a big deal. And you do that by just the dog being around it.
Yeah.
And nothing bad happening. All right. Practice with a doll. Some behaviorists recommend purchasing a lifelike doll and using it to simulate common activities you'll do with the baby, such as feeding, carrying, and rocking. Of course, your dog will quickly discover that the doll isn't a real baby, but her initial reactions to it may help you determine which obedience skills you should focus on before the baby's arrival. The doll can also help you practice caring for the baby and interacting with your dog at the same time. Some dogs will jump up when you lift the doll and hold it in your arms. It's important to plan what you'll do if this happens. A good solution is to ask your dog to stay in a sit or down whenever you hold or lift or handle the doll. You could use the doll to teach your dog to gently give kisses. Don't do that. Do not do that. If you have sanitary concerns, you could teach her to lick the doll's feet only. Why does the dog need to lick the dog's feet? Don't lick the baby at all. How about that?
Yeah, let's not lick the
Praise
baby.
your dog for any kind of gentle contact with the doll and give her plenty of treats. If your dog tries to bite the doll, knowing that it's not a real baby, she might think it's a toy. Say no, then immediately redirect her attention to an appropriate toy and praise her enthusiastically if she plays with that instead. Teach her to be extremely gentle with anything you're holding in your arms, like a baby. Listen, the doll to simulate the things you'd be doing and like, oh my God, we hold it up and we're playing and oh, look at, like, and the dog starts jumping, like, get on those types of things. Yeah. But teach the dog to ignore it. Yeah. That's it, right? No licking, no gentle kisses, definitely no biting it.
Please, no biting it.
All right.
Jeez Louise.
Prepare your dog for the baby's touch and movement. Handling. When your child is old enough to understand the lesson, you'll teach him to handle your dog gently. However, not knowing any better, young babies often grab dogs' fur, ears, tails, and anything else within reach. To prepare your dog for this inevitability, accustom her to the types of touching you could expect from the baby, including grabbing, poking, and pushing and pulling. If you teach your dog that good things happen when she gets poked and prodded, you'll be able to better tolerate potentially uncomfortable interactions with the baby. Okay. I agree kind of to this.
Oh, okay.
Kind of, right? I agree that it is an inevitability that at some point one of these things is going to happen.
True.
Right? So I do think you need to make sure that the dog can tolerate these things once in a blue moon. So there are some procedures, like we run tests with dogs. Like when dogs come in with handling issues, we test how are they with having their feet grabbed, their ears grabbed, being examined, like all those types of things, right? And if there's an issue with it, we work through that issue. But we don't do it constantly all the time because it is something that the dog still doesn't like. And no matter how much counter conditioning you do, you're never going to teach the dog to love those things happening. It's not going to happen like they said. Oh, if you teach the dog good things happen when she gets poked and prodded, like your dog is never going to think, oh, great, I'm getting poked and prodded. This is great.
Right.
So you just, I caveat it with once you've worked through the issue, if there is an issue, leave it alone at that point. Don't do it all the time because the more you do it, the less the dog will tolerate it. That's exactly what happened with the person I described, where they said, my dog has always been tolerant of this, but this time they weren't. Well, that's because it's constantly happening. So the dog is constantly kind of on edge, like, I need to tolerate this, I need to tolerate this, I need to tolerate this. So they're in this constant state of stress where inevitably at some point that builds up to a point where they have to lash out. So don't do it all the time.
Yeah.
But you could prepare your dog for these things and just make sure there's not an issue. Like, if your dog, when you grab their ear, immediately turns and bites you the very first time it happens, like, we got to work through that problem.
Yeah.
But then once I work through the problem, I'm not going to grab the dog's ears very much.
Right.
Right? It's like the vet. When I take my dog to the vet, they used to have really adverse reactions to it. I worked through that problem. But if they were going to the vet every day and this stuff was happening, at a certain point, the behavioral issues would come back again. Right? Okay. So this moves on with preparing your dogs as poking the dog. Poke your dog gently and then give her a treat. Gently tug on her ear and then give a treat. Gently grab her skin or pinch her, then give her a treat. In a cheery voice, say something like, oh, what was that? Each time you poke, pull, or pinch your dog. Later on, when the baby does these things, you could say the same phrase. With repetition, your dog will start to anticipate tasty treats and simply look to you each time she gets pinched or grabbed. Practice these handling exercises 4 to 8 times per day and use especially exciting treats like cheese, chicken, or hot dogs. Training sessions can be short, about 5 minutes long. When you start your training, be very gentle over time. Make your touches more intense like they will be when the baby delivers them. The thing I don't love about this is they're making it seem like you're just going to make your dog love those things happen, right? Where the emphasis should be on you not letting those things happen in the first place.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I like I said, I do think it's an inevitability that you're going to slip up at some point and it will happen.
For sure.
But guys, come on, let's be real. For the most part, people are able to control these things. It's just, you know what I mean? Like, and if you can't because you're distracted doing something with the baby, that's where your training comes into play. Hey, go lay over there because I'm focused on this and I can't constantly stop the baby from grabbing you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So let's focus more on that side of things. Other thing to get them used to, movement. Some dogs have never seen a human crawl, so it could be an intimidating experience, especially because crawling puts a person right at their eye level. So it's a good idea to help your dog get used to crawling before your baby starts to become mobile. Accomplishing this is easy. Crawl towards your dog. As soon as she lifts her head to look at you, pet her or give her treats. Eventually, she'll start to anticipate fun and goodies when she sees you crawling in her direction. Everyone in your family should participate in this exercise. When your baby comes and your dog is completely comfortable with this new game, incorporate the baby into the picture too and have them sit on your back, supported by your partner. When you crawl, remember to cuddle your dog and give her treats so that she continues to enjoy this strange new human behavior. Again, like, test it, test the crawling, see what your dog does, but like, they're getting a little too crazy.
Yeah.
With it. Little too crazy with it. Bringing the baby home. First impressions are important. Your dog should have pleasant experiences with your baby right from the start. Your dog should have neutral experiences with the baby right from the start. When bringing your baby home from the hospital, send everyone else into the house first so your dog can express her usual excitement to see people. After she's had a minute or two of greeting time and expend some of her energy, have someone leash her. This is important even if you have no reason to believe that she'll react poorly to the baby. That person should also get some small treats ready to use during the dog's first few moments with the baby. It may help to prepare these treats in advance and keep them in a container near the front door. It's crucial to stay calm and relaxed when you and the baby enter the house. If you seem nervous and jumpy, your dog will pick up on your feelings and may become nervous as well, thinking that the bundle in your arms is something to worry about. Instead, speak to your dog in a soft but cheerful voice as you walk into the house. Have your helper distract her with plenty of treats so that her attention is divided between them, your baby, and the other person present. The helper can ask your dog to respond to obedience cues like sit or down, using the treats to reward her polite behavior. Praise your dog for any calm interest in the behavior. and the baby. Avoid scolding your dog. Remember, you want her to associate the baby with good things, not your displeasure. Generally agree. What I like about this is they're recommending the helper keep the attention on them. Right?
Yeah.
Basically saying, don't worry about the baby. So I agree with that.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything wrong about that. Meeting the baby. Whether you choose to allow your dog to investigate the baby right away or wait until a later time, orchestrate the event carefully. Choose a quiet room, sit down with the baby in your arms, have a helper leash your dog and bring her into the room. Again, avoid nervous or agitated behavior. Talk to your dog in a calm, happy voice as you invite her to approach. Convince her that meeting and interacting with her new friend is fun, not stressful. If your dog's body language is relaxed and friendly, have your friend walk her towards you and baby, keeping the leash short but loose. If she wants to, let your dog sniff the baby as you continue to speak softly to her. Praise her warmly for gentle investigation. Even if your dog seems curious and calm, you may feel a little nervous about letting her get close to the infant. That's normal for new parents and perfectly reasonable. Initially, you might feel most comfortable allowing only brief interactions. Let your dog sniff the baby's feet for a couple of seconds, then gently interrupt her investigation by praising her and asking her to sit or lie down. Reward her for complying with a few small tasty treats. Your helper can hand them to you or deliver the rewards for your dog himself. If you like, repeat the sequence a few times, then have your helper distract your dog with a new chew bone or food puzzle. I don't do any of this for the first month that the baby is home. For the first month, I say I don't want my dog interacting at all with the baby. I want them pretending the baby isn't even there. Lots of bed stays, lots of down stays, redirecting them away from the baby, obviously, if they seem interested, stuff like that. And don't even worry about the introduction. That will prep you for getting them used to all of the real life things without ever putting them in a vulnerable position.
True. Do you like the leash?
Yeah, it's a safety protocol.
Yeah.
Right? So basically they're saying is like, make sure you know what you're going to do if for whatever reason it starts going sideways. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah. I just wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't let the dog approach the baby right now. Say, no, go away. The fuck off, command. Right?
The fuck off.
Do something else. Don't worry about that. That's all I'm saying. This is mine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Okay.
Teaching your dog to love the baby. Already hate the title of this one. Guys, dog doesn't need to love the baby right now.
No.
As the baby settles in, continue to focus on associating with good things for your dog. You may be tempted to give her plenty of attention when the baby's asleep and then try to get her to lie down, be quiet, and leave you alone while the baby's awake. It's actually much better to do the opposite. Try to give your dog lots of attention when the baby is present. Teach her that when he's around, she gets treats, petting, playing, and anything else she likes. When you feed the baby, you could feed your dog too. When you walk your dog, do your best to take the baby along. Baby backpacks and slings are great for dog parents. This strategy, though it requires some skillful multitasking on your part, teaches your dog a valuable lesson. She'll learn to love it when the baby is awake and active because that's when good things happen for her. Obviously, giving both the baby and your dog attention at the same time is easier if there are two adults in the home. But when that's not possible, you can still accomplish a lot by holding your baby in your lap while you talk to your dog and stroke her, give her treats, and toss a ball for her. Also teach your dog that when the baby isn't around, things get very boring. Your dog can be with you, but try to ignore her most of the time. This will make her eagerly anticipate the baby's next active time and help her bond with him. Big time overthought is what this is. I will give the premise you should be following, which is what they're kind of trying to teach, is don't have it be when the baby's not there, things are great. When the baby is there, things are bad.
Yeah.
But also don't do the opposite, where when the baby's there, things are great. When the baby's not there, things are bad.
Yeah.
Just have it the same. Don't change what you're doing, whether the baby is there or not.
Yeah.
Keep it the same.
Yep.
Nothing is different right now, right? Getting back to the neutral association that we want, right? Next one, out from underfoot. It can be really hard to care for an infant if your dog insists on being underfoot. And you're going to make the dog be underfoot the entire time by doing all of these things of getting your dog really jacked up every time the baby's out.
Right.
Right? To make things easier and safer for everyone, you can teach her to move away when you ask. Say the cue, like go away or shoot. Okay, it tells you how to teach that. This is the same fucking thing as the other one.
The fuck off.
Over your next few training sessions, gradually increase the number of steps your dog must take before you toss her a treat. Eventually, you could wait until she moves several feet away before you toss the treat. Once your dog has mastered this skill, you'll be able to use it in other situations too. When your baby starts to crawl, for example, you could use the cue to teach your dog to move away from him when she feels uncomfortable. Quiet time together. Another great way to encourage your dog to stay out of the way while you're tending to the baby is teaching her to settle down for some quiet time. Keep a dog bed or comfy mat in the room where you usually feed the baby. When it's time to nurse or give him a bottle, provide something tasty for your dog too. You could reward her for doing a nice downstay on a bed, tossing a piece or two of kibble every few moments. Alternatively, you can give your dog an exciting new chew bone or food puzzle toy to work on while you care for the baby in the same room. Polite manners around the baby. As often as possible, reward your dog for behaving politely when she's close to the baby. Encouraging calm, controlled behavior now will pay off in the weeks and months ahead. As your baby becomes more and more interesting and exciting to your dog, if someone in your family has time, consider taking your dog to a group obedience class or hiring a private trainer to show him how to teach the basics in your home. A well-trained dog will make the first days, weeks, months, and even years with your child much easier. What was that? Baby sounds, especially those that are loud, may upset and confuse your dog. Most dogs simply learn to ignore them, but some need extra help if your dog seems distressed when the baby makes noises. Associate the sound with things your dog loves. If your baby squeals or cries, toss a tasty treat to your dog right afterwards. After a little repetition, your dog will discover that baby sounds don't signal anything bad. In fact, they predict the delivery of food. Okay, so last part here, they get into troubleshooting. Before we get into that, again, I agree with most of this. I don't like how they're doing it, though. They're putting too much emphasis on, like, create a positive association with all these high energy treats and toys and stuff like that.
Right.
Which, again, we want to create a neutral association, but that shoots you in the foot. You create too positive association, you have your dog constantly glued to you.
Coming to you.
Right? And coming to you and being in your space, which is the opposite of what they're trying to train by doing this.
Yep.
So use your training. Keep the dog calm. Set the boundaries. Have routines for all these things.
Yep.
Right? Hang on.
Skipping through.
Yeah, no, we'll get into the troubleshooting here, and then we'll stop at that, because then it gets into preparing your dog for a toddler, which is essential because we do talk all the time about, like, toddlers. Once you move into the toddler stages, things change again, right? So I'm glad that they separated that, actually.
Cool.
All right, troubleshooting. If your dog is a little nervous about the baby, sniff the baby. Some dogs are nervous about babies or even a bit afraid of them and go out of their way to avoid contact. If your dog seems a little worried about the new member of your family, you could teach her how to touch the baby with her nose on cue. Jesus Christ. Don't do that. Do not do that. It says this exercise will give her a safe way to interact with him and get used to his scent, appearances, and sounds without being forced to stay close for more than a few seconds at a time. Absolutely do not do that. If your dog is nervous of the baby and trying to stay away from the baby, leave it alone and let it know it can, in fact, do that. Do not try to force your dog to come closer to the baby. They will warm up at their own pace.
Right.
You are working at your dog's pace with this stuff.
Yeah.
And when your dog seems more comfortable around the baby, that's how you know it's time to move on. But there's nothing you're going to do that's going to force them to then go do it.
Right.
So we're going to skip the rest. I'm not even going to read the rest of that one. So if they're nervous of it, give them more time.
Yes.
That's it.
Yep.
Handouts at the high chair. Timid dogs often have a hard time when babies start to become more active, more vocal, and mobile. Luckily, this period coincides with the time when babies start learning about gravity by throwing finger foods from the high chair onto the floor. Allowing your dog to help clean up these tasty experiments may convince her that having a baby in the house is a very good thing. What not to do? Never force your dog to interact with your baby. You literally just said that you're going to try to force the dog to interact with the baby. Let her approach him on her own. When she seems nervous, speak softly to her and praise her for bravely investigating. Okay, guys, you're contradicting yourself. As far as the handouts at the high chair, don't let your baby feed the dog. You know what I mean? Like actually teach your dog to ignore the baby when they're fucking throwing food on the ground and not to go like scavenge food off the ground. That's a way to create resource guarding, guys.
Yeah.
If your dog responds aggressively to the baby, dogs who show aggression towards a new baby in the home often do so because they have not been well socialized to children and find them foreign and frightening. Some dogs don't fear babies, but they become aggressive when guarding their food, toys, or chew bones. Babies and young children can't understand that they should leave the dog's things alone. They may also have difficulty recognizing a dog's warning signs or find growling and barking amusing. A child's failure to heed such warnings can have disastrous consequences. A small percentage of dogs seem to react to babies as though they're squeaky toys, and this response can be extremely dangerous. All of the situations put children at great risk of receiving a bite. So what to do? Get help. If your dog shows aggressive behaviors around your baby in any situation, or if you think she might, keep her away from her at all times and immediately contact an animal behavior expert. Yeah, make sure the professional you hire is qualified to help you.
I hope
It's
so.
important that he or she has extensive experience in successfully treating aggression in dogs. Yeah, obviously, if your dog is showing aggression towards your baby, keep them separated, right?
Yeah.
But more importantly, recognize, a child's failure to heed such warnings can have disastrous consequences. Yes, it's our job to teach the child to heed such warnings.
Right.
That's it. So focus on that.
Yeah.
Should you correct your dog for aggressive behavior? We're not going to read that either, because I know I'm going to disagree on that. All right, let's do this. Is not going to take that long. We're getting into preparing your dog for life with a toddler as well.
Okay.
All right, preparing your dog for life with a toddler. We talk about this having two stages: baby stage, toddler stage. Two very different things. You got to hit the reset button when you move into toddler stage.
Yep.
Many dogs who haven't spent time around children find toddlers confusing and intimidating. Some find them downright scary. Read on to learn about what you can do to influence the developing relationship between your dog and your growing child. Prepare in advance. Wonderful thing about babies is that they start out not doing much at all and then become more active and mobile as they develop. These slow changes will help your dog get used to your newest family member, gradually setting them both up for success with successful interactions. But before you know it, your baby will start poking, grabbing, and crawling machine. When your baby's still young, start preparing your dog for a toddler's touch, movements, and unpredictable behavior. And you get into the handling. As they explore the world, young children do a lot of grabbing, poking, and pulling. You'll eventually teach your child to treat your dog with gentleness and respect, but he won't be able to grasp these concepts as a toddler. So before he starts crawling around, it's important to help your dog get used to rough and even painful handling. Okay, guys, come on. He won't be able to grasp these concepts as a toddler. Of course. Obviously, they're not going to be able to rationalize what they can and can't do, but you can manage the situation and make sure that rough and even painful handling isn't happening.
Right.
And if you can't do that, you probably shouldn't have a dog when you have a baby.
Right.
I mean, that's just the real talk of
Yeah.
the situation, right? Mm-hmm. Is all of this comes down to management. So then it gets into poke the pup again, right? Teaching them for that. Introducing baby moves. Resource guarding prevention. Let's see what they have to say about this. Babies and young children have no idea that dogs sometimes get upset when people get close to their food. Chew bones or toys. Even if your dog has never behaved aggressively, when someone approaches one of her favorite things, it's a good idea to do some resource guarding prevention anyway. Before your baby starts to crawl, start teaching your dog that when someone approaches her and a valued resource, wonderful things happen and she gets to keep her stuff. Yeah, and then it talks about, when your dog is eating dinner, walk up to her and toss something far more delicious into her bowl. After a week or two of repetitions, do the same thing, but reach into your dog's bowl. Don't do that. This is my problem with, I don't want to turn this into a fuck the force free movement. But this is my problem with all of these things is train your dog, you're not a threat.
Yeah.
They don't have to love these things. They have to not see you as a threat. And if you have the right dog, can you do some of this stuff? And sure, they'll be oh yeah, you're sticking the hand in the bowl, I get a treat. Yeah, sure. But they're more probably offset 60% of the dogs you work with. You're if you do it even remotely incorrect, you're gonna train your dog. You are in fact a threat in that moment.
Yeah.
So just don't do those things, right? You prevent resource guarding with babies and young children by not letting your dog be messed with when they're chewing bones and not letting your dog be messed with when they're eating their food.
Yeah.
There's no reason why your kid ever
should be
needs
fine.
to go grab a toy that your dog has.
Yeah.
Or that they ever need to go and stick their hand in the fucking food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It absolutely, unquestionably never needs to happen.
Nope.
So that's up to you. Yeah, and the last step of this one, finally, approach, reach down, and take away your dog's food bowl. Then feed her a treat. Like, why on earth would you ever do that?
Right.
I've talked about resource guarding plenty of times before where it's like,
Yeah.
just make sure that you could walk around, be near your dog, and if you accidentally brush into them, obviously test it, make sure there's not going to be a problem, but just leave them the fuck alone.
Right.
When they're chewing on something or when they're eating their food. That's it.
Yep.
Teaching your dog to retreat. So this is now the third word they've used for the fuck off command. Walking away is an option. Same deal, using the go away command. This I would agree with. Choose some safe zones. Obviously, you want to make sure your dog has some safe zones, which are spots where you say, nobody's going to mess with you when you're there. Agree with that. Teaching your child to respect the dog. Okay. This is the shortest section of this entire fucking thing.
Of course.
Of course. But it's the most important one, guys. If you want this to go well, teach your child to respect your dog and manage your child if they're not able to consciously understand these things just yet.
Yep.
As your child develops, teach them to respect your dog's body, safe zones, and belongings. Always supervise interactions so that you can guide your child as he learns to communicate and play with your dog appropriately. Playing an active role in the development of a relationship between your child and your dog will benefit everyone. Show your child what gentle, enjoyable petting looks like. Teach them to stoke and scratch your dog in her favorite spots. Explain that hitting, kicking, or pinching dogs, as well as riding, teasing, and intentionally scaring them is not okay. Teach your child to play structured games with your dog like fetch, tug of war, and hide and seek. Training games, trick training, and clicker training are also a lot of fun for both kids and dogs. Enroll your dog in obedience classes with an instructor who welcomes children so that your dog can learn to be with his dog in a gentle, effective way. Okay. Yeah, do those things when the dog's old enough to comprehend those things.
Right.
But make sure you don't let them develop the pattern of doing it before they're conscious enough to understand those things. That's it. And then it gets into troubleshooting. We're not going to read any of that. I mean, that's it in a nutshell, guys.
Yeah.
The takeaway from this is we all generally agree that there needs to be a lot of structure.
Yes.
You need to have a well-trained and well-behaved dog, and you want to create a neutral, or they're saying, well, just if you replaced positive association every time they said it with neutral association, we would 100% agree with things.
Okay.
And though striving for a positive association is good, like that's a great North Star to have.
Yeah.
Realistically, you're going to get neutral association, and over time, they will develop a positive association.
Yeah.
But in a nutshell, the number one thing you could do, teach your dog to ignore your baby early on, and do not let your baby do annoying things to the dog. Don't let it happen. Don't wait till it happens, then stop them. Prevent it before it happens.
Yeah.
And then your dog will never feel uncomfortable or stressed out around your baby or your toddler, and they'll grow up, and things will get easier, and life will be good.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's literally it.
Yeah.
That's it. And then I won't get so many calls from people saying that their dog bit their kid.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely something that people don't ever think about. Like the whole like preparation phase, especially if you have a, great dog or good dog, you're like, oh, it'll be fine. But the nuances of usually it's the, you talk to your dog every 2 minutes or something, and you don't have that caveat transitional phase where it's like, hey, I can't pay attention to you all the time. And that's probably 99% of the problem, I would say, is you don't even prepare your dog for it. And I get it because your dog's great now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But like you said, anytime something new, I mean, whether you move into a new apartment, you get a kid, whatever we talk about all the time, like if there's something new that happens, you kind of just have to learn everything with your dog.
Bingo. Ding, ding, ding. So that's it.
Ding,
just
ding.
preparation, guys. Just don't let your kid do dumb stuff. Don't let your dog do dumb stuff.
Yeah.
Right? It's your job to manage, right?
Yep.
Treat it like if you had two fucking kids, right? You wouldn't let them bully each other all the time and stuff. You would understand what each one likes and doesn't like, and you would manage them accordingly.
Yep.
Right? And if you do that, you'll be just fine. Yep. If you run into issues and you are doing all of that, then, contact a professional.
Yeah.
We'll help you out.
For sure.
All right, guys. That's it. Catch you on the next one.
See ya.